各位线上的贵宾朋友们，大家好！感谢大家拨空参加今天的线上研讨会，我是今天的主持人 Sabina， 很高兴在线上跟大家相见。那我们今天议程的主题是今年10月大限倒数，企业如何因应新版 ISO27001的合规挑战。那在 ISO27001 2013版即将在本月底失效，许多企业都面临了转版的压力。新版的2022版除了延续旧版对存取控制、加密还有资讯分类的要求外，还新增了11项的控制措施，其中特别凸显了包含资料外泄防护的重要性。那今天讲师将会带给大家快速掌握新版 ISO27001的合规要点，然后示范 DLP 解决方案要怎么帮助企业降低资料外泄风险。那在开始之前呢，提醒大家，如果有任何的问题，可以在聊天室留言，我们会在 Q&A 时段一一的回复大家。接下来就让我们邀请新盟科技的资安工程师 Kelvin 来向大家分享。
Hello， 大家好。嗨，各位来宾，大家好哈，欢迎参加今天的webinar。我是来自新盟科技的 Kelvin。好，那我们就直接进入主题哈。大家应该都知道 ISO27001的国际法规嘛哈。那新版本即将也要上线了，那我们的企业是不是准备好应对的这个机制呢？好，那我们今天会快速帮大家聚焦整个主题，那以及今天的议程中啊，可能大家都会有一些收获。那简单来说会有3点的收获。那第一点，大家都知道 ISO27001即将转版，那新版本到底改变了什么？那有没有一些重要的焦点项目？那第二点 ，ISO27001法规和 DLP 到底有什么样的关联性以及重要性？那我们今天的议程也会告诉大家。那第三个，假设企业没有使用 DLP 的工具，那会发生什么事？那会造成企业有哪些隐忧呢？那在我们今天的主题分享，大家都可以在简报中得到以上的问题答案。好，那我们今天的议程安排如下哈。首先我们会从 ISO27001新版本的变化开始谈起。那接下来我们会深入了解到资料泄露预防，也就是大家俗称的 DLP 的这个范畴。那这是新版本有特别强调的一个重点哈。然后我们会和大家介绍一下 Matrix DLP 的一个解决方案，来看看它如何帮助企业解决实际的一个问题。那最后会总结一下 Endpoint Protector 的一个功能特色，让大家对产品有一个初步的认识。那我们也会跟大家说明一下为什么我们会选择 Matrix DLP， 以及它在市场上获得的认可有哪些。那我们今天也非常荣幸的邀请到 Matrix 的 Lauren 来为大家进行产品的一个 demo 演示。那最后议程我们会保留一些时间让大家进行 Q&A， 好，那大家有问题就欢迎提出来询问。好，那我们就先来谈谈 ISO27001的一个重要更新。那新版本和旧版本到底有哪些变化？那其实有3个很重要的变化哦。第一个变化其实就是标准名称的一个延伸。那原本只是在资讯科技的一个范畴，但现在企业面临的一些威胁已经不仅仅是传统科技的一些问题了。那所以新版本会整个扩展延伸到资讯安全以及网络安全还有隐私保护这些领域和范围。那第二个就是整体的结构整个重组，原本有14个控制领域，现在直接分成4大控制主题，分成组织、人员、实体以及技术控制。那这样的分类目的其实是要让管理者更加的清晰，然后帮助企业提升整体的管理策略。那第3个也是最重要的变化哈。那新版本中新增了11项的控制措施。那我们在 slide 下方有帮大家汇整一下，这11项总共涵盖了3个主题，包含组织、实体和技术。那值得一提的是，这11项的新增措施中，我们可以看到在技术控制主题中的那个黄色醒目的字体，这个就是我们今天的主题，就是资料泄露预防 DLP。那我在这边也和各位来宾提醒一下，旧版的证书于2025年10月31日后就失效了，建议企业要尽早完成转版的一个因应。好，那我们先跟大家分享一个很有趣的一个统计数据，这是来自 SGS 的一个调查哈。我们先看左边这个圆饼图的显示，那灰色的区块是既有的一个控制措施，那橘色的部分是新增控制的措施。那我们可以看新版和旧版它不合规的整体的比例。好，那表示什么？ 显示出整个组织对于新增控制措施的要求在其实落实层面上还有待加强，所以我们新增控制措施的不合规率不可以忽视。好，那我们换过来右边长条图的这个区块这边有帮各位拉出整个新增11项控制措施中不符合事项的一个占比长条图。那么值得注意的是，这11项新增措施中，红框框的部分就是 DOP 资料泄露预防，它就占了13%。那仅次于第一名的主态管理，这两个位居这两个位居整个结构中前两大的不符合项目。那主态管理这一块，其实它占据了50%，其实它面向非常广，只要是系统就会有一些主态的问题，不论是 server、PC 等等。那这也是未来稽核的一个重点执行的项目那如果我们有时间，可以再和大家分享这一块。如果各位来宾有需求，也都可以会后留言告诉我们。好，那我就先回到我们的主题。那透过以上的数据显示，说明了什么？就是未来在主态管理还有资料泄露预防这一方面，其实企业都还有很大的改善空间，也意味着组织在新增的规范上面最容易卡关，就是这两个环节，分别是主态管理以及资料泄露防护。那换句话来说，新增的措施其实上很明显的应对不足，所以未来新制上路之后，稽核都会特别检视这些新增项目的一个落实率。那我们的企业也可以开始思考一下，未来要如何因应这个新的法规的这个策略。好 ，OK， 既然法规势在必行那我们应该要怎么做呢？那其实法规有给我们一些指引的方向大致帮大家归纳成3个重点第一个，其实因为我们要知道我们企业机密资料有哪些以及在哪里，这个很重要，所以首要目标我们要先找出公司定义的这些敏感资料，以及这些敏感资料要进行一些分类、归纳、整理等等。那第二步就会找到这些敏感资料以后要做什么？我们就要盘查和管制这些资料容易造成资料外泄的出口点有哪些，我们要进行收敛。所以第二步我们要整个企业要建立起监控泄漏管道的一个机制。好，再来最后一步，当然就是采取防止泄漏的一个措施，这也是法规建议我们的，要使用 DOP 工具来进行做资料防泄。好，以上3点的指引，其实总结来说非常明显，不论资料是在处理、储存还是在传输的这个阶段都需要有 DOP 的一个控管措施。所以 DOP 其实已经不是选配的项目，而是合规必须要落实的一个要求好，接下来我们会和大家浅谈一下 Netflix DOP 的解决方案它是 Endpoint Protector。我们其实可以把它想象，它就像是一道防水墙的基石它专门守护整个资料不外流。那我们就来了解看看它可以带给企业哪些的防护效益。好，既然我们要导入 DOP 的产品，那基本上一定要符合国际的法规嘛。那 Endpoint Protector 它包含支援了HIPAA、GDPR 等等。好，再来我们都知道很多的资料外泄的事件其实不是来自外部的攻击，大多数都是内部的一些恶意破坏，或者是使用者疏忽造成的一些外泄情况。那现代办公室环境都不太一样一定要有一些可以因应不同办公环境，即使比如说像我们的企业可能会有一些远端办公或者是离线的端点的一些需求，所以都要有办法提供不间断的策略和保护。那最后对于各个企业来说，其实资料是最关键的一个命脉要选择真正能够保护公司智慧财产权的一个可靠产品。那综合了以上这些效益，我再帮大家汇总一下整个系统到底可以帮企业带来什么样的价值。我这边浓缩成4个关键的效益我们从4个面向来看， Endpoint Protector 可以从外泄风险、合规压力、内部威胁以及资讯可视化这4个面向，一次帮企业解决核心的痛点。好，那我们就来浅谈一下整个系统有哪些功能那系统主要有分成4个模组，那由左到右我们会依序为大家介绍。那每个模组下面它都有标示对应的一些资源平台那我们从最左边的第一个装置控管，那各位可以想象管理 我们要管理像 USB 啊、随身硬碟这些有储存空间的装置，其实我们目的就是要避免有人随便把公司的资料打包带走，对吧？那第二个，内容感知的一个防护，我们不仅可以看档案的类型之外，最重要的是它能够分析整个档案的内容。那如果有人要传有一些个资或机密文件的一些关键字，那系统它是透过动态侦测以后，然后把它拦阻下来。那第三个，强制加密。如果公司有可以使用 USB 的情况下，我们都会建议将档案进行加密。那为什么要加密？因为就算 USB 掉了，其实我们就不太担心说资料外泄或者是遭有心人士的利用。那最后，电子文件探索，它其实是透过手动或排程的一个方式来去扫描电脑或者是档案 server 主机上面的档案，把一些潜在的敏感资料找出来，甚至能够对这些档案进行一些加密或删除的处理，来去降低整个企业风险。那简单来说，我们的系统就做4件事。那依序就是管装置、查内容、强迫加密以及找出潜在的风险，4管齐下来去帮助大家守住资料安全。那接下来我会分享4个真实的情境来跟大家介绍功能，让大家透过真实的一个情境故事，来去了解到为什么需要 DLP 工具的重要性。好，大家都非常清楚那疏于控管 USB， 除了有机会造成资料外泄以外，还有可能会造成一些大灾害。那其实今年的一个新闻大家都非常清楚年初有一个知名大医院，它因为疏于管制 USB， 让有威胁的 USB 又接回内部的电脑，那造成一些恶意程式交叉感染，引爆一些内部系统感染、勒索病毒，影响到整个院内的一个系统和主机那各位也可以再思考一下另外一个情境公司是不是可以使用 USB 装置？那是不是有一些对应的管理机制呢？对，没错。那可能当下就有公司某个使用者为了方便，他就把一些关键档案或者是机密档案存到 USB 里面，准备带回家办公，或者是有其他的意图。那这其实对员工来说，这些小小的动作，如果我们没有进行控管，可能会引爆一些治安事件。那哪怕只是真的要带档案回家工作那况且资料在外带的过程中，谁都很难保证资料的一个安全性，因为非常方便、非常快速。可惜是装置就是最常见的一个外泄管道之一。那装置控管也是控管的第一道防线那假设我们透过 device control， 企业能够锁定谁可以使用 USB， 甚至它控管的维度可以到唯一识别的一个序号层级，来防止 USB 装置的滥用那这边我总结一下其实我们做好装置的控管，不仅可以防范资料外流的一个事件发生以外，也可以避免一些恶意程式的一个交叉感染的一个风险。好，另外我们再回顾一下，也是今年数一数二大众的一个台湾治安事件今年某半导体大厂涉及了一些产业竞争中断技术优势等等，或者是因为个人利益有转职的一些动机，那引爆了一起国安的危机事件那其实我相信每一间公司都有很资深的员工嘛那可能某位资深的员工他手边掌握了一些公司很关键的核心的技术资料，那因为个人想要转换跑道，或者是他也有可能接收到竞争对手的一个挖角，那对方开出的条件也很不错。那在这种竞争激烈的一个市场环境下，员工可能会因为个人利益做出一些不可控的行为，所以带枪投靠其实是企业蛮担心的一种行为那如果公司可以使用 USB 的情境下，那其实管理层很难预料资料外带的这个过程是不是有很足够的安全那资料外带可能我在咖啡厅或者是计程车上掉了，甚至我转送到其他竞争对手或厂商的手中，那或者是导致一些涉及一些营业秘密法或者是一些不可控的行为都有可能发生那所以我们换个角度思考一下，如果我们有 DLP 的一个工具防护之下，员工他想要复制一些机密档案到随身碟中，那想带到下一家公司作为筹码的这种情境，那如果正当 它在把档案传到随身碟的时候，那系统就对这个随身碟进行加密的这个机制，让所有进到随身碟的档案都变成密文。好，那如此一来，那随身碟里面的资料就没有办法被那种没有权限的人读取嘛。那第一个，这也避免了一个机密资料暴露的一个风险。那最重要的是，还可以防止投降代靠的这种行为哈。所以执行 USB 强制加密的这个好处是，就算档案被复制到随身碟，那没有这个解密金钥就会打不开嘛。那其实这样可以大幅降低内部人员把机密资料带走的可能性。那我们就是要透过加密，把外泄风险转换成一张没有办法读取的一张密码锁，来去确保商业资料在必须外带的这个过程中是安全的。好，我们再来看看，也是我们国内的新闻。那某知名的电信因为通讯软体非常方便，那资料传递也很方便，然后造成了一个破口那最终导致资料外流，让骇客得逞，在爱网兜售大量的客户资料。那我们以为管好随身碟就万无一失了吗？那实际上并不尽然因为现在办公室的一个现实，资料泄露的一个途径远比我们想象中的复杂。那其实员工都非常的聪明，除了 USB 以外，他甚至可以透过浏览器、email 软体、云端硬碟、通讯软体，或者是萤幕截图、复制贴上等等这些很简单的方式，就把档案传输出去了。那以往我们就是见招拆招，见一个锁一个，但是这种长期下来会造成 IT 管理上的一个严重负担那 Endpoint Protector 它的内容感知防护，它其实就是要解决了这种问题。它是动态即时扫描所有资料流的这个优势。那它就是来去检视说，无论是个人的一些识别资讯包含身份证号护照号码，或者是一些信用卡、email 资讯，以及公司自己定义的一些敏感文字包含什么研发文件、客户资料或者是机密资讯等等这些关键字那在这么多元的出口点，它就会进行防守。只要吻合这些机密的这些资讯，它都可以协助帮我们做一个把关，把这些出口点精准的监控以及阻挡。那各位可以想象，内容感知检测其实就是企业内部的一个智能守卫，它专门帮企业减少人为疏失造成合规的一些风险在。好，那再来分享第4个情境，就是我们的政府单位他们在管制文件上有出现一些小小的瑕疵，因为导致资料在传送时没有严格执行加密，然后造成了一些大量的公文机密外泄，被骇客利用到，然后兜售在暗网。好，那我们除了资料会被骇客利用以外，还有什么可能会发生的情境呢？那其实在现在企业内部中，很多敏感资料其实就分散在各个部门的电脑或者是 file server 上面那其实资深员工在公司待这么久，电脑中已经累积了大量的资料，其实这些对公司而言都是有价的资产。所以我们要再思考另外一个危险的情境，就是员工如果在离职前，他会做什么事？他可能复制走多年的一些累积的一些资料，那甚至有带枪投靠的一个风险存在。那么我们身为 IT 的管理者，我们都知道要快速盘查这些员工和电脑上面的一些是不是有一些重要机密文件，比如人事财务研发等等这些部门资料文件都非常多，但是员工这么多，那资料又分散在各处，如果没有管理工具，我们要怎么进行扫描？好，那电子文件探索的这个功能好处，它是协助进行一些静态资料的扫描，来去发现一些潜在的威胁，并提供及时的修正。我们日常可以透过一些手动或者是排程的一个方式，来去盘查部门使用的一些电脑和档案主机，那系统就会帮我们列出这些扫描结果。好，那我们可能会看到包含一些档案类型位置、大小等等的一些资讯，让管理者可以立即对这些敏感的档案进行处置。例如我可能会做一些加解密的动作或删除档案的动作，来去确保说这个资料的安全性。好，那电子文件探索的优势其实就是要协助我们管理者发现一些漏网之鱼，提前在 提前发现这些风险资料然后提供及时的修正以及管理，而不是等到真的外泄了以后才开始补救。好，最后一个情境其实要和大家分享，在 AI 盛行的一个今天那很多员工都会用一些 AI 工具来去提高自己的工作效率嘛但我们如何防范这些资料流向外部服务的这个隐忧呢？好消息是 Endpoint Protector 预计在本月份发布新功能。那这新功能有什么亮点？它能够侦测和管控使用者输入在 AI 平台的一些敏感资讯，避免这些文字资讯或者是档案资料外泄到外部的 AI 服务中。就例如范例的这个图片某个员工他可能要进行一些资料汇整，他想透过 AI 工具来协助汇整重点和排版，那他就不以为然的把一份 PDF 上传到 Copilot 进行解析，但他疏忽了这个档案中有一些的信用卡资讯那如果有 Endpoint Protector 的这个防护下，那系统它就会自动阻挡这些档案传输，来从源头上保护这个档案资料。所以 AI 工具虽然是很好用，但是我们要安全使用，就必须要有 DLP 的一个守护。那以上5个情境的分享，因为这个情境5是尚未 release 的一个功能，所以我们在稍后的 demo 环节就暂时不展示这个情境5的这个功能，但是我们会展示刚刚我提到的情境1到4的这个功能，让大家更了解实际的一个功能应用。好，接下来那我就帮各位汇整一下我们系统功能的一个优势。好，在企业资料保护的这一个部分Endpoint Protector 它其实提供了多层次的一个安全防护机制，它不仅仅全面保护企业的内部文件、个资甚至关键智慧财产的资料让这些敏感资料不会轻易的外泄。那我们也提供了多元平台资源，像是 Windows、macOS 还是 Linux 平台，这都可以无缝轻量化的一个安装，来去整合 IT 现有的架构，不会增加 IT 管理上的一些负担。那我们也知道很多公司都有一些混合的环境，那同时间会使用不同的作业系统，甚至有一些远端办公或云端工作的一些需求。那在这些情境下，那我们的系统都可以保持一致的一个防护策略，不管员工在哪里，用什么设备，资料都可以妥善被保护。那最后我们透过集中化的一个管理平台界面，让管理者可以来盘查这些端点的安全状况，了解政策执行的结果，让大家更有效率的做治安管理。好，那选购一个治安产品，除了功能上要满足以外，还需要什么呢？没错，可靠度也是一个关键的要素，所以我们要让数据来说话。Endpoint Protector 它从2008年进入市场以来，已经获得非常多的奖项那其中2025年得到了网络卓越奖，那获得了最佳 DLP 的一个解决方案那这些是由专业评审以及业界人士共同评选的一个奖项。那它特别强调产品在实际落地的应用层面上是有足够的安全性和稳定性。那总结来说 ，Endpoint Protector 的一个评价，它展现了3个优势：长期深耕在 DLP 领域累积的一些专业能量以外，那还包含了 Gartner、G2 等等一些分析的机构的认可。那最重要的是还有多项业界奖项以及客户评价的一些回馈，来去给予实务应用的一个肯定。所以我们认为它不只是一个 DLP 的工具，更是能支撑企业长期治安策略的一个可信解决方案。好，那我这边的介绍就先进行到这边。那接下来我们会邀请到 Netflix 的 Lauren 来为大家展示产品的一个功能。Now, please welcome Lauren as he continues with the next part of our session. Hi, Lauren.
Thank you very much, Calvin. Hello, everyone. Okay, in this next 25 to 30 minutes, I'm going to show you Endpoint Protector in action. I'm going to give you a live demo presentation of Endpoint Protector and show you all those 4 modules that Calvin presented: device control, USB enforced encryption, content-aware protection, and e-discovery. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you. And before I log into the Endpoint Protector Management Console, let me tell you a little bit about the architecture of Endpoint Protector. So I will just go on this website here, which is our documentation page. And about endpoint protector, you should note that the product has a client-server architecture. The server side comes as an appliance. It can be a virtual appliance installed on-prem, compatible with VMware, Microsoft Hypervisor, Oracle VirtualBox, and other virtualization platforms. We also have a version of the appliance that is compatible with the major cloud service providers, such as Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, or Microsoft Azure. And we also have a SaaS offering, a SaaS solution, where we would host the Endpoint Protector server for our customers, and our customers can choose the location of that server based on the AWS available regions. So this is the server part of the product. The second, so anyway, I was saying that Endpoint Protector has two components, the Endpoint Protector server and the client. The client is compatible with all the three major operating systems, with Windows, with Mac OS, and with Linux. And what we try to do differently compared to other DLP vendors in the market is that we aim to have feature parity across operating systems. So if there is a feature that is available on Windows, you should be able to have that feature and to replicate the policies provided by that feature also on Mac OS and even on Linux computers. And this client has 4 different modules embedded into it. It's one single client for all the 4 modules. And the 4 modules are device control, USB enforced encryption, content-aware protection, and e-discovery. So this is what I'm going to show you next. In the next 20 minutes or so, I will show you each of these modules in action, because in my experience, the best way to understand how a product works is to see it live, to see it in action. So let me just go to the Endpoint Protector Management Console. I will log in. It's a web-based user interface. I'm going to log into the Endpoint Management Console, and I will go to Device Control. I will start with Device Control and then move on to the rest of the modules. When it comes to device control, it's important to know that Endpoint Protector doesn't monitor only USB storage devices. Nowadays, there are many security solutions that can disable USB ports. You can have an antivirus solution, you can have an MDM solution, you can use group policy objects to disable USB ports. But in case of Endpoint Protector, we go way beyond USB storage devices, and we can control over 45 different device types. Of course, there are USB storage devices in the list, CDs, DVDs, or card readers, but then you can also control local printers or network printers. You can control Windows portable devices like phones that are connected to computers, digital cameras, webcams, iPhone, iPad, iPod, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, FireWire, Thunderbolt ports, network shares. If a device is recognized by the computer, with Endpoint Protector, you will be able to control that device. When I say that you can control a device, it means that you can apply certain access rights to those devices. For example, any device can be set on deny access or allow access. You can block or you can allow the device. But if the device has a storage capacity, maybe it's a card reader, then you can also set it on read-only access. So users will not be able to move data from the computer to the device, but they will be able to read the data from the device. Then there are some special access rights. For example, iOS devices like iPhones can be set on deny access but allow charging. Users will not be able to move data from the computer to the phone, but when they connect it, their device will still charge. That is convenient for the user. It's a nice user experience because they can still charge their iPhones on their work computers, but they will not be able to exfiltrate data from the computer to the phone. Then when it comes to Bluetooth devices, I mean, in most device control solutions, if they offer Bluetooth control, it's usually turning Bluetooth on or off, allowing Bluetooth or blocking Bluetooth altogether. In Endpoint Protector, this is a little bit different because you can control granularly all the Bluetooth device types. And you can say that Bluetooth tablets are set on deny access because those can be used for data exfiltration. Bluetooth smartphones as well on deny access, but you can allow your users to use Bluetooth headphones, mice, and keyboards because these cannot be used for data exfiltration. These are used to operate the computer. So these are safe to use. And this is, again, a nice user experience for employees because they can use wireless devices like headphones, mice, and keyboards, but they will not be able to exfiltrate data from the computer using a Bluetooth connection to a phone or to a tablet. Then, of course, when you set up the access rights, you can do it globally, which will cover all the users and computers in the organization, but you can do it on a group level, on a user level, or even on a computer or device level. And when I say on a device level, it means that every single device connected to a computer will be identified based on the vendor ID, the product ID, and the serial number of the device. And the serial number, that is a unique identifier of each device. It takes a second to load because I just switched to hotspot on my phone. So here you will see a list with every single device that users connect to the computers, and every device will have a vendor ID, a product ID, and a unique serial number, which means that you can take any of these devices and set them on allow access, deny access, or maybe read-only access on a computer level, user level, or group level, or even global level. There are many other ways to make exceptions in Endpoint Protector. This is another advantage of Endpoint Protector compared to other solutions, because there are several ways of how you can make exceptions. And in large companies, always exceptions have to be made. So in Endpoint Protector, you can make permanent exceptions. You can take these devices and you can set them on allow access. That will live forever. But if a user needs access to a device just for a limited time period, maybe for 30 minutes, for an hour, or maybe just for a day, the best way to do that is to use the feature called offline temporary password, which can be used to generate a password that will unblock the device for just a limited time period. And users can request this kind of password from the Endpoint Protector client. This is how the Endpoint Protector client looks like. This is the agent. It's a lightweight agent, has a very small footprint. And let's say if a user connects a USB storage device to the computer and it's blocked, the user can request access to that device for, let's say, 1 hour. Can send in the request to IT. Then the IT administrator will log into the Endpoint Protector Management Console, generate the password for the device. I will just select random device, select the computer or the user, add the reason for the password, and generate the code. Now, if this code is entered back in the Endpoint Protector client, here in the offline temporary password field, this will unblock the device for exactly 1 hour. After 1 hour, the device will be blocked again. This is convenient because as an administrator, you don't have to remember to come back and to block the device again after the user is done with the job, because when the password expires, the device will be blocked again. There is one more way to make exceptions, that is called user remediation, which will allow users to self-remediate, which means to get access to a blocked device if they provide a justification. For that, I would have to toggle on this box here, which is called user remediation. Of course, it works only if the device is blocked. And in this case, users will need to type in a justification, and they will automatically get access to any device that has user remediation enabled. There are many other features and functionalities related to the device control part of the product. I don't want to spend all our time on device control because we have other very interesting things to look at. So I'm going to move on to the USB enforced encryption part of the solution. Enforced encryption will help companies to make sure that the data transferred from a computer to a USB storage device is always encrypted. This is why it's called enforced encryption, because it will force the user to encrypt the data. So let me just connect the USB storage device to my computer. I just connected it. And what happens now is that the device mounts on my Mac, and the EasyLock encryption application will open up on the computer. There we go. I didn't have to do anything. The EasyLock application is on the USB storage device, was installed on the USB storage device, and it opens up on my computer automatically. As a user, I have to type in the encryption password that was set by me. I will log into the application, and it's called EasyLock because it is very easy to use. It is a very simple application. On the left side, you can see the files and folders on my computer. On the right side, these are the encrypted files on the USB storage device. If I want to move more files from the computer to the USB, I can just grab this file and move it here. Copy and encrypt, yes. Okay, now I have 4 files. I can also grab files from my desktop and just move them into the EasyLock application. Now I have all these 5 files on the USB storage device, and the files are encrypted. And the only way to move files from the computer to the USB is to use this small application called EasyLock. I close the application, and now the files will stay inside the encrypted container. The biggest benefit of the EasyLock application is that this application is cross-platform. We install the Mac version, but also the Windows version of the application. So if I would take this USB storage device to my Windows computer, since I know the passwords to the EasyLock application, I will be able to access the encrypted files on the USB drive. That is one big benefit of this application, that it's cross-platform, because if you would use, for example, BitLocker to encrypt USB storage devices, a BitLocker encrypted drive will not be accessible on a macOS computer. Also, the other way around, file vault encrypted USB drive on a Mac will not work, will never work on a Windows computer. So this is one of the problems that EasyLock solves. It makes the encryption cross-platform. But what you should also know about the EasyLock application is that it has great management capabilities, meaning that you can remotely change a user's password. Users forget their passwords. I forget my passwords all the time. But for EasyLock, that is not a problem, because under enforced encryption EasyLock, you can see all the USB storage devices that have the EasyLock application installed. You can manage the devices, which means that you can change the user's password. So you can type in that the new password. There we go. So next time when the device is connected to the computer, the user will have to log in using the new password. We can also send a message to the user saying that your new password is 1234. So when the device is connected, the user will have to log in using the new password. But more importantly, there is a reset device button right here, which is like a remote wipe command, which means that if a user forgets the device somewhere, maybe the device is stolen, then the person who finds it tries to connect it. But when the device is connected, all the data on the USB storage device, all the encrypted data will be automatically destroyed, will be automatically deleted. This is extremely useful. It's also useful if maybe there are employees who are leaving the company. It's difficult to get the USB storage devices back from those employees. So instead of trying to get the USB storage device back and then delete it, wipe it by the administrators, you can just hit the reset device button, and that will automatically delete all the encrypted data on the USB storage device. This is the message because we changed the password for the EasyLock application. It says login password has been changed by administrator. Okay. New password is 1234. I can just copy this password, And then I can log into the EasyLock application again using the new password. There we go. Of course, everything that users copy to the devices will be logged, and under reports and analysis, file tracing, we will see exactly what type of data was copied from the computer to the USB storage device, even if that data was encrypted. Let me just show you the details. So if you take a look at this event, it says file encrypt because the file was encrypted, happened on my computer, the user logged in, type of the device, the identification of the device, the vendor ID, the product ID, and the serial number of the device, the name of the file. It was this screenshot from my desktop, and previously I copied this credit card file from my desktop. The file hash, the file size, the type, and the date and time when this event happened. Of course, all these events, all these logs can be also forwarded to any SIEM solution. If you are using any SIEM solution via syslog, we can forward the logs to your SIEM solution. So this was the USB encryption part of the solution. We looked at device control, we looked at USB enforced encryption, and now it's time to look into the data loss prevention capabilities of Endpoint Protector. So we are going to move on to content-aware protection. The purpose of the content-aware protection module of Endpoint Protector is to monitor file transfers and outgoing data over online applications, web-based applications. The best way to understand how this works is to create a new data loss prevention policy from scratch. You will see that it is very easy to create a new DLP policy in Endpoint Protector. So we are going to create a new custom policy. There are also predefined policies for PCI, for HIPAA, for GDPR, for other compliance regulations. But in order to walk you through the policy creation process, I'm going to create a new custom policy. Now, the first thing we have to do inside the policy is to choose if this policy is going to be applied on Windows computers, on macOS computers, or on Linux computers. We have to make this selection first because some applications that are available on Windows, for example, this one, doesn't exist on a Mac. So for better user experience, if I switch over to a macOS type policy, then we are going to display only applications that are available on that specific operating system. So I'm going to create a Mac policy because I'm using a Mac right now. I want to be able to demonstrate how the policy works. Let's call it the test policy for webinar. It will be a test policy, and then we have to choose what should happen when the policy is triggered, when the policy is violated. We can just simply block the file transfer. We can report the file transfer, go with block and report. And there is an option called block and remediate, which will allow the user to bypass the blocking part of the policy by providing a justification. To keep things simple, I will select block and report. So we will see two actions: how the file upload is blocked and also how it's reported back to the Endpoint Protector server. In the next section of the data loss prevention policy, under policy exit points, we can see a list of applications, egress channels, exit points that users can use to exfiltrate data from the organization. And here we have web browsers. In the first category, the most common ones on the top. But of course, you can select them all. It won't make a difference if your users are not using, for example, Vivaldi as a web browser. There are email clients such as Outlook, Mail, or Thunderbird. Instant messaging applications like Messages on a Mac. This is the native Messages application on macOS and on iPhones. There is support for Facebook Messenger as well. There is support for QQ International. There is support for Slack, for Telegram, for Viber, for WeChat, for WhatsApp. And I wanted to call out maybe one other application, Discord. So there are a lot of instant messaging applications. The next category may be the most important one. It's called cloud services and file sharing, where we offer support for the Dropbox client, for OneDrive, for OwnCloud, AirDrop on a Mac, Apple Remote Desktop, Box, Evernote, Google Drive. There is Mega, there is Microsoft Remote Desktop, Microsoft Teams, of course, OneDrive for Business, and many other cloud and file sharing applications. Last category contains some special applications such as iTunes, which can be used to move data from a computer to a phone, TeamViewer for remote sharing, there is SFTP, FileZilla, even WebEx or Zoom are listed here because these can be also used for sending files to the people who are joined, who have joined the meeting. Besides these applications, you can also apply DLP rules to storage devices. So if you allow the use of USB storage devices from device control, then you can apply DLP rules and make sure that files containing sensitive data are not copied to portable storage devices. Clipboard means that you can control the copy-paste. You can prevent users from pasting sensitive data into maybe any of the applications listed here, or just disable pasting sensitive data altogether into any channel. Network share control means that you can apply DLP rules to files transferred to network shares. You can also disable the ability for users to take screenshots. And you can also apply DLP rules to any files that are sent to printers. Local printers, network printers, it doesn't matter, all printers are monitored. All right, so we selected the applications that we are going to monitor with this DLP policy. In the next section called Policy Denial List, we have to choose what is confidential data for us as an organization. And there are a couple of filters that you can choose from. The first one is the file type filter. If you just want to block file transfers based on the type of the file, you don't care about what the files contain, then you would use the file type filter. You have graphic files, office files, archives, other files, media files, or CAT files. However, if you care about what the files contain and maybe you just want to block files that contain confidential data, sensitive information, then you would use some of the other filters. The source code filter is really good for technology companies who write code, who work with programming files and with source code. And here we use machine learning to scan files and determine the type of code inside the files. Because all these source code files are essentially text files. You cannot make a difference between a C++ file and Android package or Java file based on the extension or based on the type of the file. You have to actually scan the file, look at how the code looks, and then based on that, you can determine the type of code inside the file. This is done using machine learning, and it is very accurate. Then there is a filter called predefined content, which contains predefined identification. For example, credit card numbers, American Express, Visa, MasterCard, Diners, China Union Pay, MIR, and other other credit card types. PIIs like IBANs or dates like a date of birth, email addresses. There is also support for addresses, for social security numbers, for ID numbers, for passport numbers, for phone numbers, tax IDs, VAT IDs, driver's license numbers, and some other predefined identification. If there is something that you don't find in the list as predefined, maybe it's specific to your country, to your region, that is still not a problem because there is a possibility to create regular expressions. So if you are looking for something that has a pattern, the best way to do it is to just build a regular expression for it. You can do this under deny lists and then just assign the regular expression to the DLP policy. If you want to scan for maybe specific keywords like confidential, for internal use only, and so on, then you can use the custom content filter where you can add those keywords into a list of keywords, and then you can just apply the list of keywords to the DLP policy. And the last thing I would like to call out is the MIP classification tab, where if you are using, for example, Microsoft Information Protection to classify files, then you can leverage those tags, those labels from Microsoft, and you can instruct the Endpoint Protector client to scan for those labels inside the metadata of the files. This way, if a file is classified as confidential, then it will be automatically blocked by the Endpoint Protector client. This is not limited just to Microsoft Information Protection. We integrate with any other data classification tool. Of course, Netflix has its own data classification solution called Netflix Data Classification. But if you are using something like Bolden James or Titus, that will work too. Final step is to select the computers and users where we want these policies, this policy to be applied on. I selected my computer and my user, and I will save the policy. Of course, I stayed for too long on the page without saving it, so the page timed out, but that is not a problem. I just have to click on the save button again. All right, so we built a DLP policy. Normally it took less than a minute, but since I was explaining all the settings inside the policy, it took a little bit more. But we built this DLP policy to scan for credit card numbers inside when files are sent through certain applications, such as web browsers, instant messaging applications, and a few other type of applications. We will not have time to test all the applications, but I would like to give you just one example. I saw that Kelvin also mentioned that we support AI services, which are accessed usually through a web browser. So I just typed in copilot.com, and I will grab a file from my desktop that contains credit card numbers. Let me make sure that my policy has been received. And I will try to upload this file that contains some credit card numbers. Let me just open it up. Yes, this looks good. Into Copilot. It was blocked. It says try that one more time. I'm not sure if you can see the notification, but the notification also shows up here. It says file transfer blocked due to sensitive content. Contact your network administrator for more information. Of course, these notifications can be customized. This doesn't work just on copilot.com, it works on any other URL. So if I go to dlptest.com and I try to do the same thing, I will have the exact same result. Let me just do an HTTPS post. There we go. I will grab this same file again that contains credit card numbers, try to upload it, but the upload failed again. If I go to facebook.com or any other website that you can think of, the result will be exactly the same. That is because we are blocking files containing credit card numbers from being uploaded on Chrome as a web browser. Now, going back to the Endpoint Protector server to reports and analysis content-aware report, we are going to see two detailed logs about what just happened earlier on my computer. And if I open this first log, it says content thread blocked, happened at this date and time on my computer, user logged in. The source of the file comes from my desktop. Destination was Chrome. Let me show you the destination details, which is dlptest.com, the website that I just tried uploading the file earlier. The size of the file, the name of the policy blocking the file, test policy for webinar, the one that I just created earlier. And the reason why the file got blocked is because it contains this credit card number. And the second log, in this example, it was the destination was copilot.com. So this is how a data loss prevention policy is created, and this is how it works in action. Of course, all these logs again can be forwarded to a SIEM solution. Last part of the presentation, and this will not take long because I realize I'm running out of time. It's e-discovery, with device control, content-aware protection, and even with enforced encryption, we are addressing data in motion, data which moves from a computer to a USB storage device, from a computer to a browser, to a cloud application, or maybe a chat application. But with e-discovery, what you can do is you can run a scan on the computers to identify if users are storing sensitive data locally on their machines. I just started a scan before the webinar, or during the webinar after Kelvin started speaking. It's currently at 38%, but we found 27 objects. The e-discovery policies look exactly the same as the DLP policies, as the content-aware protection policies. The only difference is that it's missing the list of applications because we are not scanning any applications. We are just scanning the data sitting on the endpoint. So you have the exact same filters: file type, source code, predefined content, custom content, and so on. I was scanning for credit card numbers, and even if the scan is not complete, we can inspect the found items, and we will see that we have here a bunch of files containing credit card numbers. One of those files is called that is urgent payment, and it contains 3 credit card numbers. This is another file, a PDF file that contains also 3 credit card numbers. So there are in total 27 entries. Now, there are 2 remediation actions over the discovered files. One is to encrypt the files. Maybe you want to check with the user why that files are sitting on the endpoint, why there is a need for that kind of data to be stored locally on the endpoint. If there is a good reason for it, you can choose to decrypt the file. Or the other option is to just simply delete the file from the computer. If the user is not supposed to store that kind of data on the machine, then you can just simply delete it from the machine. That is it. I think my time is up, so I'm going to stop here and I will turn it back to Kelvin to wrap it up. Thank you so much for your time. I hope this was clear. And if you have any other questions for us, feel free to let us know. We are happy to answer them.
Okay, let's give you a big thank you to Lauren for his insightful presentation. 我们非常感谢 Lauren 带来的这个产品的 demo 演示哈。那大家还记得开场的3个问题吗？那我们在今天的简报应该都可以找得到答案。那我就再帮大家快速回顾总结一下今天的内容哈。那我们今天从 ISO27001 新版开始谈起。那现在旧版本已经在倒数的阶段，那请各位务必留意一下转版上的一个因应措施。那再来，我们由新版本的法规新增项中了解到 DLP 的一个重要性，以及提醒 DLP 是未来稽核审查的一个重点项目之一。那另外，我们也透过5个实际的一个真实情境来看到企业面临的一些实务挑战。那以及 Lauren Demo 的一些 DLP 工具如何进行有效防护，那我们也同时补足了现有 AI 服务造成的一些外泄的缺口。那在数位化转型的道路上，那其实资讯安全不应该是绊脚石，应该是一个推进器，所以选购 DLP 产品也是很重要的哦，要慎重选择有安全性而可靠的一个产品。那资料一直都是企业有价值的一个资产哦，那企业需要有抵御外部威胁的那个防火墙之外，我们还需要有一个新的一个内部防御的一个概念，就是防水墙。那这道防水墙的这个角色啊，其实就是防止资料像水一样由内而外的慢慢渗透流失。它或许不能说是100%，但是绝对可以大幅降低一些外泄的风险，来去确保敏感资讯的一个合规哈。那我们今天就是要让大家知道，其实建构一道防水墙不是一个梦想，而是一个真的可以确保敏感资讯保持安全而且又合规的一个目标。那感谢各位来宾今天的参与，那我们今天分享的结束就到此，我们今天就分享到此结束，谢谢大家哦。
那本次的研讨会就告一段落，感谢大家拨空参加，祝大家有个愉快的一天，我们下次见。